Here we will see connected architecture of ADO.NET. The architecture of ADO.NET, in which connection must be opened to access the data retrieved from the database, is called connected architecture. Connected architecture was built on the classes connection, command, data reader, transaction parameter collection, and parameter class. Connected architecture is used when you constantly want to execute commands on the database like create, read, update, and delete. This creates more traffic to the database, but it is normally much faster for small transactions. Here, web or Windows form is directly connected to the database. Different components of connected architectures are data source, connection, command, and data reader. Where data source is the database, connection is the database connection represented by the class. It has the attributes and techniques for creating, opening, closing database connection. Command class represents a stored procedure or SQL statement that will be used to deal with the database data. It has the properties and methods specifying the transaction, that is related commands, parameters, command type, and text. And data reader is a forward only, read only stream of data from the database, which is represented by the class known as data reader. It has the tools for reading the data from the database like read method, which moves to the next row. This is the connected architecture of ADO.NET. Windows or web forms send the command with connection to the database, and depend on the command, database sends the information to the web or Windows form. While working with connected architecture, first it makes the connection to the data source that you want to interact using connection string, which contains the information as server's address, database name, authentication credentials, and other connection specific details. After establishing a connection, create command objects to interact with the data source. Command can be execute queries like select statement, stored procedures, or other database operations like insert, update, and delete. Then it passes the SQL query or command text to the command object. The command object sends the command to the data source through the established connection. While executing the select query, the data retrieved from the data source is stored in data reader, which is a forward only, read only stream of data. It is efficient for large data sets because it doesn't load all the data in the memory at once. And for non-query commands like insert, update, delete, you can execute the command using execute non-query. Now see when to use connected architecture. When an application needs to read or update data in real time, or when an application needs to access the database that does not support disconnected architecture, and when the application needs to minimize the amount of data that is transferred between the application and the database. Different advantages of connected architecture are: when we perform database operations on the centralized database, accessing the data will be faster. It offers real-time data access and immediate updates. It is useful for simple applications with minimal data requirements. It makes direct interaction with the database, which provides better control over the data operations. Connected architecture is efficient for small-scale applications with low data complexity, and the data will be more secure. And disadvantages of connected architectures are: the programmer or developer needs to open the connection to the database before sending the queries, and after the results are fetched, the programmer needs to close the connection explicitly. Every time connecting the centralized database will be more hard to deal with, as it degrades the database performance. It increases network traffic, and for every operation on the database, it will hit the database every time.